Hello. This is pretty much a test. I didn't want to start the first video of my outdoor cooking series with no dedicated background, no dedicated music, no nothing. Um, I simply wanted to test things out. If you don't know who I am, I'm Dan Hallfield. As you can see from the logo, I'm using my Last Man Standing background, which will be changed for the outdoor cooking thing. I'm using a piece of my own music just playing in the background at the moment, which will probably be continued on. I don't go search for other people's music that is free for me to use. I don't mind using my own, and I don't mind protesting when someone claims that they own the rights to music that I wrote, which has happened. Now, this is supposed to be me cooking stuff outside on my cast iron stove, La Bertha, or on the barbecue grill, which is pretty standard, and is just a charcoal fired barbecue grill, but made for something campground sized, raised up on concrete blocks and sitting there at waist height for me to use. None of that is quite finished yet. It's mid-February. It's late February, actually. And it's cold outside. I mean, seriously, it's really cold outside. I will make a title sequence, an intro video, an outro video. Yes, indeed. I may write new music for it. I might use other music that I've already written. I don't know how much room we have on this particular server for me to upload new things. I will find out the limits as I exceed them. And believe me, I am really good at exceeding limits. But I did want to talk to you tonight and say that while this is not the green room, there will be lots of green room double, triple, and quadruple entendres that I just naturally drop into a conversation. And for that, and those sensitive members of any audience that I may actually have in the future, I sincerely apologize. It's not the green room, but it'll do for YouTube. Now what I will do is show you things I'm cooking, whether indoors or outdoors, and I will include text recipes down below in not the comment section, but you know, the video text box, whatever it's called. I don't know. I watch YouTube. I don't really pay attention to the technical aspects of it. I do know that there are censorship things that are going on. So we'll try and stay below that particular radar and above most everyone else's expectations of what I can actually do. As a word or a few words of background and introduction, I am a former farm boy, a former Appalachian redneck, a former inhabitant of the East Tennessee southern end of the Smoky Mountains, and a current resident of the state of Georgia in the U.S. As such, I will use language, unless I bang my finger on something or burn my hand. It won't be industrial language, but it will be a language style best suited for my hillbilly redneck upbringing. And that's all fine and good. But what you will be tuning in for, only if you're going to sleep through my shows, what you will be tuning in for is stuff that I am cooking that I learned from my mother, both of my grandmothers, several great aunts, a great uncle, my aunts and uncles on my mom's side, because I didn't get to spend an awful lot of time with aunts and uncles on my dad's side. Great aunts, great uncles, yes, but not a more immediate generation. I'm just a plain ordinary guy. I am retired from a factory in the Athens, Georgia area. We won't besmirch their name by me denigrating them, which is a big word for a redneck to use, but you know, I'm a big redneck, okay? We'll see. What I intend to do is show you what my outdoor kitchen looks like, how I've changed it over the years from just charcoal grills to a new coal-burning, wood-burning stove that I bought to basically be the workhorse of the entire thing. Excuse me, I'm going to have to cough again now. All right, got that little, it's February. I've got a cold. I'm trying to get over it. Cut me a break, please. The wood-burning, coal-burning stove I am familiar with from one of my great aunts who had one in her kitchen all of her life. This thing was the size of a Volkswagen microbus, and this lady could cook anything on it that you wanted her to cook, from a birthday cake to a Thanksgiving feast. She knew what she was doing. One of my childhood chores was to help her with the chopping of kindling and bringing in coal for that wood-burning stove and their stoves for heating the house. Now, this house was old enough to where it never had internal, inside the walls, electric wiring. They had drop cords stapled to the walls and across the ceiling and two electric light bulbs. She also had an upright piano, which she was very adept at playing, mostly gospel, mostly church hymns and whatnot. It was that era. That was what she was interested in. That was what she studied how to do. I remember a lot of things that my grandmothers, and my other aunts and great aunts did in concert for Sunday family feasts, basically. Sunday dinners. Most people would respectfully and without bragging call them. But some of these were basically, they could pass for something that European royalty would have on a special occasion. But for us, it was just Sunday. My mother would help out. My grandmother would help out. My great aunt would help out. Her sister would help out. Her brother probably taught me more about using a barbecue grill than anybody except my dad ever did. My aunts and uncles on my mom's side, very good cooks. I mean, family reunions were really, I mean, you couldn't imagine a better spread than that. The day my wife and I got married, and I do mean Lindsay, we went to the courthouse, and we were married by a justice of the peace who had just come back from trying to round up all his cows, still had his cowboy boots on, still smelled like a cattle pasture, because he walked through a couple of things that most folks would try and wipe off their shoes before going to a courthouse, but he was big name judge and didn't care. No, well, let's just say nothing left to give. How about that? That censors it pretty well. Man performed the ceremony. My dad walked my bride-to-be down the aisle because her father was well across the pond and not in good health. He was in England. She is from England, from the Portsmouth, South Sea, Gosport area. If you want to look that up. She is a huge fan of the Portsmouth Football Club, which for Americans means the Portsmouth Soccer Association. I have to be able to translate these things, because after almost 20 years of being married to someone from another continent, I have learned several vocabularies, some of which I can actually use in polite company, some of which I don't want to ever use in impolite company because, well, let's just say, not the green room. If you don't know what the Green Room is, you have to join Uncle Carl's secret humor group and show up on Friday nights, and you need to be very thick-skinned and not easily offended by anything. It's like a cross between how do I explain the Green Room? How do I best explain the Green Room to an American audience? All right, here's my best shot. It's like a cross between a celebrity roast from the old days before TV was really censored. Dean Martin had these late night after the Tonight Show sort of time zone things where different comedians that were known for performing everywhere, but a lot of the time they were best known for doing Las Vegas shows, would sit together at a dinner table and insult the living daylights out of each other in a humorous way. And cross that over with George Carlin's 7 Words You Can't Say on Television, and a really good therapy session with lots of people in the group that actually care about you. But it's mostly comedy. It's mostly jokes. They are off-color jokes. Don't get me wrong. A lot of them are. And that's what we like, and that's what we enjoy, and that's why we keep showing up. But then again, some of us are going through a bad patch, and we need other people's advice. And that's why it turns into a therapy session of a kind. It's definitely unlicensed. It's definitely unethical. But it's definitely 100% honest and 100% real. Okay, that's the Green Room. My cooking shows are just going to be either me outdoors when the weather permits, or me in my wife and my kitchen making stuff for us to eat. It's not going to be big feasts. It's not going to be Sunday dinners or anything like that. It's just me trying to explore the different things that I have learned over the years from my parents, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, my great aunts and uncles, everybody else in the family. And then cross that over with stuff I have learned from watching other cooking shows in the recent past, actually. Cowboy Kent, hero, buy his cookbooks, buy his spices, buy his sauces. Your life will be improved. I seriously can't say enough about Cowboy Kent in a positive way, because that guy is just awesome. Been cooking for a long time. Has been a chuck wagon cook, and I mean the real chuck wagon, horse-drawn food cooking wagon for cattle ranchers. Absolutely. the H family over in Bristol, England, they've been trying to learn how to do barbecue and smoked meats and things like that. They've gone to visit Cowboy Kent. They've gone to visit Franklin's Barbecue and been given a big tour. They've got a huge Franklin's Barbecue smoker. I don't have a smoker. That's not a skill that I really want to acquire. I'll save that for other folks to do so I can enjoy it from them. Andre in Portugal, European Reacts. He's been doing some cooking in his kitchen. Let's see, who else? There's can't remember the Irishman's name right offhand. I watch all his videos. He tries everything and just reacts to, oh my God, this is some of the best stuff I've ever had. Mostly that is his reaction videos. I never believed this was possible. I didn't believe this was real. Here it is. I've made it myself. Oh please, I've got to look him up. I really do. Well, there's Andre right there off the bat. There are several others that do things like that I started watching and really enjoyed at first, but then they kind of lost my interest. I'm not going to say who they are. Thank you. I will say I absolutely love the Beasleys. They try all kinds of things. They visited the U.S. They want to keep visiting the U.S. Adam Krauser, that's the guy from Ireland that does the reaction videos and the cooking reaction videos. He's really good as well. Thank you. Glad that I've got one of your videos left to watch tonight after I get through this. Love his stuff. He's a little too loud sometimes, but he is Irish, so, being energetic is probably part of the gene pool. I don't know. Not my particular area of the world, not my culture. I can't judge, I can't say, and I absolutely have no right to complain. I've got a volume knob, I can turn it down. It's fine. Adam is very enthusiastic. Jolly. Oh, Lord, those guys go all over creation, trying new stuff that they'd never had before, and they're comedy gold, the way they react to one another. You're an idiot. Yes, but it gives us likes. Can't argue with that. These things all boil together. I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of other YouTube channels that I've subscribed to, several hundred. There are people that live on canal boats, and they talk about the canals and how it's difficult to find a place to moor up, or how it's difficult to do the maintenance if you're not familiar with medium-sized engine repair or maintenance, because they're basically small diesel engines that drive those boats. There are people that have electric ones, and they just kind of go, hey, we need more solar panels because we're using a whole lot more power than what we thought we were going to. So basically, roof of their boat's covered in solar panels to harvest sunlight, so they don't have to run a generator very often. There are other channels. Corporal's Corner, he does training sort of stuff for primitive camping and surviving in extreme situations or emergency situations. And there's one that I watch that is about well, my favorite ones are about hobo lifestyles from the 20s and 30s. Waypoint Survival, that's the name of the channel. I do highly recommend that. There's a little girl, she's probably almost 30, who has bought an old general store from the 1930s, 1920s maybe, and she's emptying it out and restoring it and converting it into a home, someplace she can live. It's really beautiful stuff. She's on Instagram and as well as YouTube, and probably on Facebook as well. Can't remember. I didn't plan this, if you can't tell. I didn't plan this. It's not scripted. This is just me trying to remember stuff. I'm just trying to keep my first ever cooking video from being, hey, I don't know if the camera's working. I don't know if the microphone works, but I'm gonna talk for 45 minutes anyway, and trying to piece that together on some piece of video editing software. You know, this is just, who the fuck is Captain Dan? Alright, you just got an introduction to the kind of language that I'm known for using. Who is Captain Dan? Captain Dan is me. Always has been, always will be. The hat changes a little from time to time. Don't worry about it, not important. A hat is just a hat. I do still have a little bit of hair, but it's deserting me as rapidly as it possibly can. But then again, I'm almost 70, so you did your job for a long time. Go ahead and retire. Just don't let me catch you in my hairbrush. I hate cleaning hair out of my hairbrush because it decided it no longer was content with staying on my head. These are the things that you have to face when you finally realize that growing old is unavoidable. Maturing is optional. I mean, never get to the point to where I'm actually mature. But, you know, in certain social situations, I can pretend to be. Kinda, sorta, maybe. jury's still out. You've seen probably Stupid O'Clock, Last Man Standing. If you're a member of Uncle Carl's Secret Humor Group, you've seen The Green Room. You've seen my audience participation in Bladed Thesis channel, The Tea House, or in Grant's channel about his comic books, or several other people's channels. You will know that I have written a little bit of music for an animated movie called Life on Korra that one of my friends in the Netherlands is animating every single cell and asked me to do the soundtrack for the entire movie, and I will be more than willing to drop everything and do that when he's ready. But I've got a little piece written for an intro, and it sounds really nice. I like being able to do orchestral sort of musical work, as well as, jazz and new wave and whatever my musical interests take me. I'm very malleable that way. I can change in an instant. I've got what is it now? 9 albums and an audio story. So 10 releases over on my Bandcamp page. The music ranges far through different spectrums, not speculums. Those don't range too far, but when they're open, you're going to see something of interest. Not The Green Room, but the music that I write is either steampunk or rock and roll or jazz or orchestral or some blend of all of the above. I'm comfortable with that. I like that. It's a fun hobby. It takes my mind off of the books that I write. I've got a new one coming out here in March. It's called Disposable Man. It's up for pre-order right now on Amazon. Just Google my name, click on Amazon links, and you'll find it. I'm not going to show the ad or anything. It's a whole minute long, and yes, I did write the music for it. I like the cover. I like the back cover blurb that the publisher translated from my almost unreadable suggestions into something that makes a whole lot more sense than what I submitted. The editor was really fun to work with. She was just fantastic. Half the time she said, no, that's a typo. And I go, no, that's a British spelling. That character is British, and I'm using their spelling conventions to adhere to the way they talk. If you are really, I don't want to say a discerning reader, but if you're really a pedantic little person, you will pronounce British words differently from the same words in the American dialect of English. I usually don't, but I'm aware of the spelling differences, so things cross over. How long is this? Oh, 35 minutes I've been monologuing here? It should be about time for me to have another glass of rum. I mean, this is cheap rum, but it's actually pretty good, and I'm sipping on it rather than gulping it. Proves I'm not in college anymore, doesn't it? That, you're looking up in the corner and going, what's Last Man Standing in this context? And I'm sitting there going, you never heard of Stupid O'Clock? You're watching YouTube and you don't know Stupid O'Clock, you don't know The Last Man Standing. The Last Man Standing started off to be the after party for Stupid O'Clock broadcasts, where we just hang out after a show and just be wild and unfettered smartasses, which is what we are best at doing, let me tell you. Stupid O'Clock and Last Man Standing are there in support of Halicon, which is almost 25 years old now. Takes place in Dalton, Georgia, and it's inexpensive, and you are provided with free food for the entire weekend for one price, the price of a badge, the price of a con membership. You are entitled to come and hang out and talk to us, drink with us, eat with us, and sometimes sit out on the patio and freeze with us because it got unexpectedly cold that night. But yeah, basically bring one set of summertime clothes, one set of, oh, it might get a little bit chilly clothes, and one set of, oh my God, winter set in clothes. You don't know what you're going to need. It's North Georgia, almost in Tennessee. It's late fall. I mean, it's Halloween weekend. What can I say? It's fun. You meet all kinds of people. You get to talk with all kinds of people. You can make friends. You can go to the vendors' rooms or some of the vendors' tables and buy books by authors who are glad to autograph things for you that basically you never had heard of before and should have. Definitely should have, because they are every bit the equal of the big name pros. They're just smaller name pros. Professionals come in all shapes and sizes. And the ones that will sell you a book and autograph it for free are often more accessible than the ones that will demand that you buy a book and then charge you $50 for an autograph, or $100 or $300 for an autograph. Depends on how big they think they are. The bigger they think they are, quite frankly, the less of my money they're ever going to get. All right, back to the basic question. Who am I? I'm Dan Holifield. I am the senior editor and publisher of Aphelion Webzine, which has existed on the internet for almost 30 years, 28 years precisely right now. I've been online just a little bit longer. Aphelion is a permanent floating writer's workshop, basically, where there's no ads, there's no membership fees, there are nothing to make you pay for anything you read or anything that you submit. If you're a writer, it's free to submit. If you're a reader, it's free to read. And I am vehemently against the idea of trying to make money off of what is basically a teaching program, a way to prepare future writers to be able to sell their works professionally to publishers that will actually write them out a check for how many books they sell. I don't need to be an impediment in their way. I am basically a stepping stone to help them succeed. Our writers work with our editors work with the writers that submit stuff to us. And nowadays, not many of them actually need a lot of help. Their manuscripts are almost untouchable. Not because they demand that everything be published the way they wrote it, but because they've learned so much. They don't need much editing at all. Little proofreading, the occasional comma splice adjusted, and not a lot else. It's basically just, here's this, let me read it. Okay, rock and roll! Got it. And, you know, even for writers that are just beginning, they kind of get the hint that you come through the story as many times as you possibly can until you get to the point where you can't see the forest for the trees, and then you get somebody else to read it for you and go, oh, here's a typo you missed, and then you send it in, and my staff goes, this is good, really good. Let's put this one, here's a name for a cover mention because this story is so good. For the last year or so, I've been doing the cover art. I'm learning more about computer graphics this way. I'm not really fond or comfortable with it, not enough to brag about it, but it's won a couple of awards. Our previous cover artist won lots of awards. He stepped down. He needed to concentrate on his art and his own writing, and I respect that. Just because it left me holding the bag doesn't mean I can't respect him for wanting to pursue his art for his and his family's sake. This is part of the Permanent Floating Writers Workshop. When you don't need us and you start being able to sell your own work, or you're already a pro and your publisher goes, no, this is in the wrong genre. We can't publish this because it'll dilute your brand. And they go, okay, I'm going to send it to Dan. And then wind up with something that gets reader acclaim, but it's not in their particular trademarked genre. If they're known as mystery writers, their publishers don't want them to adventure into science fiction. That'll dilute their brand unless they adopt a pseudonym, which is, perfectly respectable thing to do. Another thing that I do is I run basically a shared universe series, the Marinevere Spaceport Bar. It's one of those situations where a bunch of aliens gather around in a bar at a spaceport and tell each other tall tales, or maybe they're actually true, or maybe they actually happened to somebody else and they're still true but didn't happen to the alien that's telling them. Or, somebody just happens to be a gifted storyteller and makes up something out of whole cloth and barefaced lies about the whole thing. As long as it entertains people while they drink at the bar and either wait for their flight out or recover from the flight that they just got in off of before exploring the city. Same material. Takes place on a planet called Bethish, which is it's basically, there's one continent, and on the far side of the planet there's a bunch of tiny islands. There are historical reasons for that. I've written, 12,000 years of recorded history of the planet. And that's just the most recent 12,000 years. Prehistory goes all the way back. Magic is real. There are gods, and they have their own room in the bar. And their bartender is Elvis freaking Presley himself in the flesh. And he's a demigod basically because of all of his fans supporting him for all those years. So he wasn't allowed to die. He just hitched a ride on a flying saucer and went someplace where he could relocate and occasionally jam with the pickup band and sing. But mostly what he does, he's got a room Upstairs in the building where the bar is, it's like a almost 100-story building, and the bar is like the first 3 or 4 floors. And he hangs out and mixes drinks and serves the likes of Thor and Loki and Odin and Cthulhu and other deities whose names I cannot pronounce because I've only got one tongue, and those are written for folks who can speak several different pitches and syllables at the same time and understand each other. But you get the idea. But that's just one room, and not all of the action that ever takes place there. That's one of the places that's most rarely visited. And remember, I'm just telling you who I am. I haven't even got to cooking yet. And cooking is going to be what this channel is all about. But I wanted you to get a chance to get to know me. I'm just this guy. I've lived a life. Sometimes it seems like I've lived several. But, things have happened. I've had some history. I've got more history I'm trying to make. And this is about what I've learned along the way that translates into what can be served at dinner time or lunchtime or breakfast time, depending on what it is I want to show a video of me cooking. It could be breakfast, it could be lunch, it could be dinner, it could be some holiday feast. I don't know. That sounds a little bit excessive to me, but if I film it, you're going to get to see it. So let's just take a moment and we'll appreciate what there will be, what there may possibly be, and what the future may hold, which is as yet unwritten. We'll all figure it out together. I mean, I'm here for the long haul. I'm nearly 70, so the long haul is a little bit shorter at the moment than it might be for some of y'all. But still, I'll do what I can. I will do everything I can, and I will try and entertain you the best way I possibly can. And I've waffled on for almost an hour now, so I haven't written any intro music. I haven't written any outro music. The song that you've been hearing on Infinite Repeat in the background was one of mine. It's a rather long piece called Watching Paint Dry. It's available on one of my albums over on Bandcamp. You can listen to those for free. If you decide you like them, throw a few dollars my way. I mean, basically, I think except for things where I have to pay someone else a royalty because Uh, I think it's Displaced Detective Suite. And I'm trying to help out a friend of mine who is a very wonderful writer who has written a series about Sherlock Holmes being ripped out of his time and place and brought into a sideways version of the modern world. So, I have to charge a set price for those so I can pay her royalties and still get a little something for myself. Because basically, yeah, she gets 2/3 of whatever you pay, and I get the leftover. And Bandcamp takes a little chunk out of my leftover, just because they have to make a living too. No big deal as long as she gets paid for allowing me to be inspired by her work. Other stuff is entirely mine. It ranges from meditation and this will put you to sleep music to rock, jazz, bebop, just anything I can think of that interests me. And some of the albums are not very cohesive because there's so many different styles of music on it, but it's a good uh, vision into what I was actually doing at the time. And some of it does have a theme. Some of it is very similar, and those have been grouped into albums that are very similar. And then there's stuff where I just go, I don't know what was going on, but I wrote this, and there it is. And it'll be collected alongside lots of other stuff that's just like, I don't know what it is. I was just playing around with the program, and here you go. Um, yeah, um, I work a lot that way. Uh, I don't sit out to do something. I wind up doing a lot of things. I'm not in this to make money. I'm already, I'm already retired. I worked for 46 years at the factory. I've got a pension. I got Social Security. I now have basically three times the amount of money that I ever had when I was working every day, 12 hours a day, and working overtime. And that's just fine. I I deserve to be able to kick back with my wife and just be allowed to live without slaving away at things and do what I want to do. If I want to do an oil painting, I'll do an oil painting. If I want to write a song, I'll write a song. If I want to build something, I'll build something. If I want to cook something, I will cook something. And that's what this channel is all about. The times when I want to cook something. And I will show you what ingredients I use. I will show you what spices I use. I will show you what cookware I use. I will show you what heat source I use, whether it be the cast iron coal burning, wood burning stove, or a charcoal barbecue grill, doesn't matter, or the kitchen stove, electric kitchen stove, it doesn't matter. Just because I call it outdoor cooking doesn't mean that everything's going to be outdoors. I'm not dumb enough to stand out in the rain and the snow and keep cooking, although I've done that several times. I have made us some excellent steaks while snow was falling on my head, and I was having to wear a mountain man wool coat with a hood, just trying to stay warm, standing in front of a fire. Yes, there are a lot of contradictions in that, but believe me, weather in the South gets really complicated and difficult to explain. We can have all four seasons in one day. Uh, Spring, summer, winter, or fall. It doesn't matter. We get them all, sometimes all in one day. All in one day. All right. Hour and 1.5 minutes. I probably should shut up about now. I do believe I only actually overtly cussed about three, maybe four times. That's pretty good. I don't have an outro video or a theme song written or anything like that. So we will just say goodnight and have it all end. And I will upload this to YouTube and put it in a special watch list so that you know this is the first one and you can go, he's just rabbiting on. He's not cooking anything. We can skip this one. And that's perfectly fine. When I start cooking, you'll either want to watch what I'm doing or you'll want to see the reaction to what it is that gets made. There isn't much in between. Either it'll be something that you enjoy or it'll be something you're totally bored with and will click off of before it ever gets to the end. This is your right, this is your privilege, and this is me going, that's okay. I got no dog in this hunt. I got no ego on the line. Only reason I'm putting up this series is because people have asked me to. I didn't think anybody would be interested. Otherwise, I'd have started it 30 years ago. But no, people do ask. People do request things. Now, I'm not saying request different recipes because I've got a limited skill set. I will learn new stuff as I go along, but as I get started, it's going to be what I know how to do and what I am willing to try and do that I don't think is going to work, but I'll be really happy if it does. So, good night, everybody, and we shall see you on the next Captain Dan's Outdoor Cooking, where I actually cook something instead of just run my mouth for an hour. How about that? Good times, huh? See you then.